Okay, continue on with buildings and grounds. The next one is an agreement with M&S Fire Protection for the courthouse. Public Works requests that a resolution be prepared to approve and authorize the chairman of the board's signature on a one-year agreement with M&S Fire Protection LLC for quarterly inspections of the fire protection equipment installed on and with the courthouse complex. This agreement will commence on the date of agreement and ending on the last day of March 31st, 2025. The total of this agreement is $5,300. The contract will be subject to approval by the county attorney, and it's in the 2024 budget, line item 1620-404.
Demical, second.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I have a question in that it says it's a one-year agreement and then it's going to end on March 31, but it hasn't been signed yet and we're already a full month into that year.
Good catch.
Is it going to be May to April, or?
So it's 1 year from time of execution
We'll update the MOE so it's appropriate.
in the resolution.
Yes.
Are we restricted for a one-year contract, or can we make it? Are we restricted for a one-year contract, or can we make it multiple years?
I think it's only 1 year.
I believe that the contract only reads 1 year at this
At
time.
this point.
Okay. Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is approved.
Thank you very much. And then the last agreement, Public Works requests that a resolution be prepared to approve and authorize the chairman of the board's signature on a one-year agreement with M&S Fire Protection LLC for quarterly inspections of the fire protection equipment installed on and within the jail. This agreement will commence on the date of agreement and ending 1 year later. The total of this agreement is $8,750. The contract is subject to approval by the county attorney and is in the 2024 budget A3152.404.
Could I have a motion, please?
Demical move.
Healy, second.
Thank you. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is approved. Old business, anybody have any old business they want to? New business? Oh,
What about creating the Solid Waste Advisory Committee? Oh, sorry, I didn't see the agenda.
oh. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that.
We actually, under new business, the local waste solid management plan is, we can skip that one because Mallory's going to come up and go over the MOE for the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. Thank you, Mallory.
Tom and I had a quick conversation about talking about the plan and the committee together because the plan would potentially be developed from recommendations if the county were to establish a solid waste advisory committee. So you have in front of you, hopefully, a MOE that is requesting a resolution to create a solid waste advisory committee to examine the current system of county operated solid waste disposal and its associated budget impacts to provide recommendations for future operations. Krista wrote this to have a great background, so I'm going to read word for word the whole MOE before we circle back to anything else. The county has prioritized solid waste disposal for many years and first authorized a solid waste disposal study in 1969. For much of the 70s, the recommendations of a single landfill system to replace multiple municipal landfills was debated by the board before ultimately taking steps to move in that direction. In the first half of the 1980s, the county began trucking solid waste and planning for construction of a system of county solid waste transfer stations, as well as securing real property to build a solid waste landfill. Construction on the landfill started in 1985, and it opened on September 23, 1987. In the early 1900s, additional land was purchased and additional cells were constructed. All of that, obviously, to circle back to the landfill, operated all cells until the first closure project began in 2002. In 2018, the final closure of the landfill was completed. Although the county still owns and operates transfer stations, there is no longer a county-controlled disposal option, and all solid waste collected by the county must be trucked to another landfill as a cost to the county. While the county does produce revenue associated with solid waste permits, bag fees, marketing recyclables, and limited grant funding, the revenue does not cover the cost of operations, and the remainder of the costs are covered by the county's general fund. At this point, less than 50% of the cost of operations are covered by these revenues, and the remainder of the costs are covered by the real property taxes that generate the general fund. Increased costs and limited disposal options will continue to be a concern moving forward, and an advisory committee should be formed to study the issue and provide this Board of Legislators with recommendations and options. Also, in the line of looking backwards, Brenda was helpful enough to provide us with a list of who was on the prior committee. Now, that doesn't mean to say that this is who should be on the committee moving forward if the board acts to create the advisory committee, but it's a starting point. So on this committee previously was the county DPW superintendent, the county treasurer, county attorney, county public health director, the chairman of the board, the public works committee representative, and also at that time there wasn't the position of county administrator, so just throwing that one out there as an option. But circling back around, we're just asking for you to consider the development of this committee, and we'll go from there.
So we have an MOE for that.
Yes, sir.
And I'd like a motion on that, please.
Seer.
Thank you.
Healy.
Thank you. Discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just to add to what Mallory said, I think it's the intention of administration to come to the full board with a resolution to include that recommendation for those members, to keep the ball rolling for the sake of DPW, which I think recognize the importance of getting this done. So I think and this is the same as what's going to happen in resource management for the 250th anniversary. We'll establish in committee the need for the advisory board, and then by the time it gets to the full board, we will have a list of intended members attached to the resolution.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I've been involved in this a little bit, so I'd like to point out that it is a service that we've been able to do for all these years, and we have, at one time, it was fully supported by general fund. And so with the committees that we had before, we established a fee for certain things. So that was done back in the, the last discussion we had was shortly after I came down here, 2007 or 8, I think it was. So we've come a long ways, but our facility is full, and we have transfer stations that we still have to support that our taxpayers, it makes it very handy for some, maybe not so handy for others, but we do it at a very reasonable rate. $250 a year is what we charge to get rid of most everything. Now we've got a couple other charges for couches and stuff like that. But it is like the EMS system. It's something that needs to be taken care of. And so I appreciate the fact that we're at least going to take a look at it again and look at our options, even though we have done that before. And it's very difficult because where we used to get the money for the recyclables, that market is really drying up. So that's my input on it at this point. So I'm glad we're taking a look at it, and it'll be an interesting discussion, I assure you. Anybody else? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is approved. Okay. Go to the order. Could I get a motion for adjournment, please?
Demical move.
Good. Will I get a second?
Healy.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.